that quickly. I have my why. I have my why. I would have told you to write that why down on your own piece of paper, put it in front of you as this entire conversation is going on tonight, because tonight is going to really be amazing. All right. I want to see you write it. I have my why. I know why I'm here. I have my why. Amazing. While you do that, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands as we celebrate and receive an amazing, amazing gentleman and friend, Mr. Sam. God bless you.
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome to the good session. Please, I would love you to celebrate my big brother. Anybody, was beautiful.
I think we have a Sam will be joining us shortly. Probably a little glitch on his network. Well, if you are just joining us, I would like you to know where you're joining in from. Please get to the chat room. Let's know your location. If you're just joining us, we did that when the meeting started. If you just joined, let's know your location, where you're joining in from. I have a lot of people from, okay, this is Yola. Yubo, you're welcome. Amazing. Dennis from Delta. Bala from Kaduna. Amazing. Joshua from Medjugorje. Issa from Castina. Amazing. Abuja, Abuja, Abuja. Wonderful people. Wonderful people. Please, let's keep it coming. Ibadan. Amazing. Yola. Who is bringing all these men from Yola? We have a lot of us from Yola. See, Yola is winning on the call tonight. After Yola, we'll have Abuja. Okay. Ebony is here. Awesome. Awesome, Mr. John. Nice to have you. I'm glad you're here. Abuja, Abuja. Awesome, 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 awesome. Anambra. Aha. These are my Igbo brothers. Welcome. Awesome. Just Zaria. Amazing. Amazing. We're going to have a special committee for Yola people because I don't know what is going on here. All right. Kaduna Ebonyi. Awesome. Yola. Yola. Lagos. Lagos. Awesome. Okay. I think Mr. Sam is back. Mr. Sam, over to you. Thank you so much. Sam. Sam, if you can hear me, your mic is muted. Okay, while we wait for Sam to.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yes. Sorry about that. I had a small network challenge. Yes. So, thank you so much again, Dr. Victor. Like I was saying, I'm so excited to be here. Promises to be a beautiful day. Um, for those that were in the first section, you know that too much value, too much value was given. Like it was an amazing session. It almost felt like it should not end. And if anybody here, those of us in the first session, those of us that were in the first session, can we just drop maybe one of the key lessons we did in that first session? You can just type in the group. For anybody that was in that first session, just type maybe one thing that stood out for you so that people that are joining us for this second session would know that they are in for something really amazing today. Something really amazing. You know, there's something I learned from uh, my mentor and doctor himself, Dr. Hiladi Haruna, and he ever said one thing that has stuck with me for life. He said, in life, for you to be able to achieve some meaningful success, you need about three things in life. You need the right people around you. That's the first thing you need. You need the right people. And then you also need the right vehicle. You need the right vehicle. You need the right people. And then you need the right vehicle. In the first session, he spoke about how, when somebody wants to go to a destination, let's say you're in Jos and you want to go to Lagos, somebody can decide to trek. You still get there maybe after how many months. You can use bicycle, you still get there, but you get there faster than somebody that is trekking, right? Or you can decide to take keke napep. You still get to Lagos if you are going from Jos. Um, but you can also decide to drive, right? And somebody that is in a car and drives will definitely get to Lagos maybe in the daytime, of course, in some hours. You get there faster than all those other people. But somebody could also decide to fly in a plane, and that person arrives in like an hour. So guess what gives you that leverage? When you have the right knowledge and the right people, it enables you to be able to get the right vehicle. And that is why if you're on this call, you are the chosen ones that will be able to get that right vehicle because you are getting the right knowledge and you are in the company of the right people, you are in the right community. The Heladic Closers Acceleration Program promises to be really amazing. This might be one of the best 90 days of your life yet. So I want us to be ready. I want us to be prepared to keep any form of distraction aside because you don't want to miss any part of this. Each time I get an opportunity to talk, I always say that the value we get here is paid for in thousands of dollars. The fact that you're not paying for it in cash doesn't mean it was not paid for, right? It's out of courtesy. Somebody has paid for it. This program is sponsored by Heladi Prime Limited, and it is an amazing privilege for all of us to participate and enjoy from it. So it promises to be a beautiful one. We looked at things like why people buy things, like why people spend money on things. A lot of times we feel it's out of need or somebody just wants that thing. So when you want to sell something, all you focus on is how do I just get paid? You don't look at it from the angle of people can buy things because of their ego. So, and then that really shifted my mentality. I don't know for others. Like it shifted my mentality to see that, you know, people don't just buy things for the sake of buying them. Somebody could be buying for the sake of ego. Somebody could be buying for the sake of his status. Why would I go and buy a piece of land in a place where the neighboring neighborhood, the piece of land is way cheaper? I buy it because of my status. I want to be in the group of people that belong. Some people buy for the sake of their own pride, right? We looked at some laws, the 25 laws of closing. We were able to look at uh, more than 10 laws in the first section. And I believe that this section is just going to be really, really beautiful, right? So if we're ready, I want to see us put a fire emoji that yes, we're ready to get value for today. Um, I want to see us put a fire emoji in the chat. Let's be able to know that yes, we're ready because we're about to hear from someone that has played the game, somebody that has been in the game. This is not theory, but somebody that has mastered these tools, mastered these assets, mastered this knowledge. So I want to see more fire emoji. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Ruth. Amazing, amazing, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. So this person is someone that I always lack the words to introduce him because he has achieved success that at times is mind-boggling. Like he has achieved success in this area and qualifies for somebody that needs to charge a huge amount of money for us to hear anything he has to say. Over time, I personally have learned so much that it's something that no matter what I get to do in life, I would apply it in any way, right? Selling is not something that you only apply when it comes to only real estate. But in life generally, whatever, how much you earn depends on your ability to be able to sell. And it's going to be a very beautiful evening. Great. Let's keep the fire emojis coming up as I introduce and call our special guest today in the person of Dr. Eladi Haruna, our mentor, our great host. Amazing. Please keep the fire emojis coming up as we hear Doctor come up shortly. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Evening, sir. You're welcome on stage. Please, over to you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good. I think a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining from. And I'm excited to be on the call again tonight. Oh my goodness, I can see a lot of brothers, friends, and sisters, and acquaintances, all time associate that we've not seen for some times. And I'm excited, honestly, to be on the call and to share ideas together again as we started the other day. Now, today is even going to be more interesting, than that is what I hope. And you see, my goal is to be able to share with you the little that I know that have worked for me and that have worked for thousands of people. And here's the good news. If it can work for me and if it can work for thousands of other people out there, I am very sure that it will also work for you. And we started the session that was, I think, about 4 days ago or 3 days ago, and we laid some foundation. We started with some foundational principles, and even more so today, we will continue on those foundational principles. And who knows where we're going to reach by the end of our class today. Yes. Remember, I told you that day that. And in fact, this has been one of my personal philosophies for over decades. And this is what I learned from someone that I respect a lot. His name is Warren Buffett. And I'm sure a lot of you already know him. He was, and he is still Bill Gates' mentor, someone that taught Bill Gates about business and the act of business. And this is what he said. He said, in the times of change, only the true learners will inherit the earth, while the learned will find themselves beautifully prepared for the world that no longer exists. So what it means is that the earth is ours, because he said in the times of change, only the learners will inherit the earth. So blessed are those who learn consistently, for the earth will be theirs. And, you know, I'm someone that like money, and I tell people unapologetically because money affects every part of our lives. I'm not one of those that pretend that I don't need it. Well, all those things. No, I like it, and I can do whatever that is ethically and morally right to get it. So, and since I figured that one of the best philosophies that can guide my principles, that can guide my actions, are basically rooted in learning and in knowledge. You see, once I understand that, I become so confident in myself. And speaking of that, it reminds me of, you know, yeah, it reminds me of, okay, sorry. Okay, yeah. So I'm saying that speaking of that, it reminds me of a video that I once watched. And I just want to quickly play this as we start the class, okay? So this, we will use it to start our class today. So if you are hearing it on the other side, if the audio is okay, let me know. Or if it's not, then I will find a way to do something about it. Okay, so let me play it. Oh no, that's okay. Yeah.
No audio, sir.
There's no audio?
No audio.
Oh, really? How do I do? How do I go about it? But it's okay. I can still just play it like that. Hmm. Interesting, right? It said tapping with the hammer is $2, but knowing where to tap is $9,999. All right, so that's that. I'm sure some of you probably must have learned one or two things from the video. All right. Yes. If you've learned something from the video, please let me know so that I know that we are all together in the program. Okay. So the concept there was just very simple. Sometimes you can be making a lot of effort, but life does not just reward you according to the effort. All right. Life does not just reward you according to the effort, but the quality of the knowledge that powers your effort that determines your output. You see, for the other man, he have experience. Um, the first set of people that were asked to work on the ship, they made a lot of effort, worked hard consistently, but they were not getting the result that they deserve. The only difference in what changed is the quality of the knowledge, which comes from the experience. So what does it tell you? It tells you that every time you invest more of your time in learning, you increase your likelihood and your chances of success. Because the world have changed over the years. I said it before, over the years, we've seen so many major changes, and the chief source of value in this our era is knowledge. I'm being very honest, it's knowledge. Yeah, so I can never overemphasize the importance of acquisition of knowledge. And when I said knowledge, I don't just mean head knowledge. I mean practical application of knowledge. You see, everything that we share here today will not be of any use unless you are able to act on them. Because, in fact, the difference between knowledge and information is that knowledge is an instruction that have yielded an outcome. Knowledge is an instruction that yielded an outcome. So you can possess information, but the proof of knowledge is in result that you're producing. So it will not just be that because you read a lot of books, you memorize a lot of stuff, and then you just feel, well, I'm knowledgeable. No. I tell people many years ago that result is a living thing. Result speaks. It have life. The proof of your wisdom should be reflected in your what? In your result. And how do we know that? Is you can only be able to achieve that result through the practical application of the information, which gives you the knowledge. And so everything that we're going to be talking about today I just want you to find a way to practicalize them, experiment them, try, all right? Fail. I told you that day that one of the ways to win is to fail. If you fail, you now know one way it doesn't work. So in the life of a visionary entrepreneur, in the life of a visionary person, there are no failure. There are only learning experience because every experience we get is a feedback. It's another way of life telling us that if we go this way, we may not probably get the result that we want. So we should rather follow another way. All right. So I think, and that is what the kind of thing, and especially in this thing that I'm telling you, all right, in the game of sales, one of the best things that can happen to you is to go out there and practicalize everything that you know. Because guess what? All the wisdom will be of no use. The only way you can own the knowledge is when you go to the field. When you go to the field. I remember many years ago when I was doing my kind of thing. I remember then I was doing a program. I call it 100 No's a Day Challenge because I used to have I used to have this fear of rejection, fear that what will people think? What will people say? What maybe this person will not subscribe to the idea, to this thing. So I was caring about people's opinion much more than I was caring about my dreams. So the only way was to go out there and challenge myself and break that pattern, that paradigm that have kept me in cage for so long. The solution to that was the program I organized. I call it 100 No's a Day Challenge. Go out there to get at least 100 people every day to tell me no. And guess what? After that program, I developed a thick skin. I no longer care what you think. And I learned very important thing that if you focus and if you care about people's opinion, then you are going to have to buy into their lifestyle because you can't use their opinion to pay your bills. You can't use their opinion to get anything useful in your life. All right. And so it was when I went to the field, that was when I learned that most of the things that I learned in theory were able to guide me. Did I make mistakes? Absolutely. All right. But I was glad that every time I tried, I failed, I get a feedback. I now learn the better. I even learn best on how to do it better. All right. So that's why I mean everything I'm sharing with you, most of them are things that I've experienced, not just things that I've read, or maybe take a book somewhere and read and it's coming to, of course, that is not it. It's things that I've lived it. And I'm glad also that if you add it to to the knowledge that you already have, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. All right, it's gonna be awesome. So I think that the other day when we are talking, we stopped at law. I was talking about different laws. I mean, I put them in just in perspective about laws. Some of the things that you need to follow if you must be successful in, especially in sales. And I don't know exactly specifically. I mean, which law that. Okay, we're at law number 14. Okay, the law of the tribe, all right? Or law 15. Okay, that's fine. So that's fine. Thank you so much. Yeah, this information is useful. Okay. Yeah. So for some of you that probably were not privileged to be in the last class, I learned that Mr. Sam and Mr. Veshima and Dr. Uvo and our wonderful team were able to put them online. The last program that we had, the video is on YouTube, so you can go and rewatch it so that you can take down and jot down everything, and you can always go back to it so that if there is any concept that you don't fully understand, at least I understand that repetition is the mother of learning. Repetition is the mother of learning. After when you are 7 years old, the only way you learn something to become your second nature is through repetition. All right. So I'm sure they're gonna put the link on the groups. So watch it. If you have some of your friends that you want them to also learn about this that are not being able to be part of it, you can share the link with them also to be able to learn it. And but guess what? That's just a foundation, by the way. I can't even, I'm so excited. I mean, I can't wait to see what's gonna happen. Imagine in the next 1 month, in the next 2 months, in the next, it's just gonna be crazy. And I can't even wait for our convention that we're going to go to. We're going to two countries just to celebrate some of the champions, the sales champions, the superstars that are going to be part of this program. All right, myself, and I'm looking at getting some very dangerous people to come, and we will leave this country, go somewhere, spend at least 1 week to close to 7 days, and learn a lot, and then we reward them and also recognize them globally, and then also induct them into our Hall of Fame. And of course, that means that you're going to have um, uh, a sales a certificate also to prove from our business school to prove that you have not just undergone the theoretical part, but you have been able to practicalize everything that you've known and you've been able to get results also. Because remember, I said earlier that result is a living thing, all right? Result. We don't reward you simply because you have head full of knowledge, but also the knowledge should be able to translate. So without wasting much time, I remember that day we were talking. I was talking about laws. So, and law number 13, number 11, we said the law of micro commitment. All right, and I said never ask for a big yes first. Get small yeses that build momentum over time. Each small agreement makes the final commitment even feel natural, and I said so sudden. So we also talked about the law number 12. I think that was more of the law of identity alignment. I remember I said that the most powerful clauses, the most powerful clause does not target what someone wants. A lot of time we say, well, this is what this person wants, this is what he will know. It targets who someone believes they are. All right. So when the purchases usually align with their self-image, resistance dissolve. All right. I told you that day that you should always sell them back their own best story. Sell them back their own best story. All right. And I think law number 13, we did talk about the law of controlled information. I told you that curiosity killed the cat. I remember saying that. So you can go back and watch some of those videos that that was just recently posted so that you can connect this one. All right. And I told you that mystery is the closest oxygen that day. And remember, we talked also about the law of tribe belonging. I said people want to belong to something exclusive. So position your offer as a membership into a tribe of successful people. All right. Remember, I told you that day that people do not buy products, they buy belonging. Yeah. People do not buy products, they buy belonging. Sorry, excuse me. So, and also I think we're at law number 15. Yeah, I said that the law of anchoring. The law of what? Of anchoring. In sales, the law of anchoring is so important that if you understand it, it will probably revolutionize how you are able to sell. All right. So, and this is the whole philosophy around the law of anchoring is just all about, like we said, the first number mentioned in any negotiation usually, and if you're an expert in negotiation, you will also know. In fact, one of our next classes, I'm going to teach you the act of negotiation, the forbidden laws of negotiation, how you can negotiate. All right. And I'm going to recommend some powerful books for you and some resources. Some of them I'm going to make sure that you get them free of charge. All right. Some of them I'm going to give you the links so that you can get them. And it's going to be amazing. Remember, this journey is more about focusing on you just rather than what you have, what you're going to have. But of course, if you become it, the having becomes easy, becomes natural, becomes your second nature. All right. Um, so every time I have an opportunity, I focus on building myself first. And in the process, because you're going to experiment with the things that you have become, with the knowledge, I mean, that you get, the result become second nature. All right. So remember, the philosophy that I'm just talking about, I said the first number you mention usually in any negotiation becomes the psychological anchor. If you know what we call anchor in Navy is something that they use to hold, to tie a ship. Yes, to hold ship. Yes, again. So you want to make sure that you set the anchor high, all right? You set everything, all right? Yeah, set the anchor high because everything after that feels like a discount. So even if it was pure intended price all along, make sure that the first prices is always that you anchor your price is always high. Now, have you noticed that, or have you ever been in a situation where you take a prospect somewhere and then they see something and then they tell you, this thing is so costly, it's too expensive. Why will this one be so expensive? Because you have ignored the law of anchoring. So usually what you do, and closing is not just one single act that happens at the end. It should be built into your process, from your presentations, um, from the time you made the prospect, from the time you taking them to site, from the time you take them to show them whatever it is that you're offering. All right. So because you understand the law of anchoring, what it means is that you make sure that you infuse it, you bond it into yourselves. So let me just give you a typical example. Maybe you can begin with, let's say, property in this corridor usually range from 50 million to 120 million naira. So the allocation I reserve for you is more or less, let's say, it's 62 million. The buyer now perceives 62 million as a good deal, not as an expense. So what you need to do first, always set the ceiling before you show the floor. Set the ceiling before you show the floor. So I was taking someone to I was taking them to site, and first of all, I made sure that I showed him something beside, and I told him that, hey, listen, a plot here is 377 million, and on the other one, it's about 100 and something million, but here is just 50 something million naira. But in the next 12 months, um, I'm confident that it's going to be probably 120 million naira. So already, because here I've already seen another one that is 300 and something million, and I've seen that I use it to anchor the price. So when he saw the price that I gave, he thought, wow, this is a good deal. But if I haven't done that, because there is no reference point, there's no point of reference where he can make a reference to it, he now probably will see that 52 million or whatever the price is as a big amount of money. So always make sure that in your presentation, all right, you obey the law of anchoring, all right? The law of anchoring. Here is the point. Set the ceiling before you show the floor, all right? Always set the ceiling before you show the floor. Now, there's another law, I think the law number 16, all right? We call it the law of storytelling. It's very interesting law, especially as a salesperson, that you must be able to master. Now, I remember one of the first things that my mentor taught me many years ago, almost close to 17 years. He told me, that was the first time he made this statement. He told me, he said, "Hey, laddie, fact tells, but story sells. Fact tells, but story sells. And every property must have a story." All right. So let me tell you, people will long forget the fact, but they will always remember the story. So make sure that in your line of presentations, in your line of offer, and even in your process of closing, always have some stories that's going to guide you. All right. For example, who lived there, what was built, what the future holds in that area. The story is usually what creates the emotional ownership before the contract is being signed. All right. The story, make sure that the story is there. Maybe instead of listing specifications, because that's what a lot of people do, they list specifications. They tell you that, okay, this is a 3-bedroom flat with with this is the kitchen, this is the dining, Maybe you can share the story of how the thing comes by. All right. The story of how the future will look like. All right. The family who sold this, all right, they held it for 4 years, and I remember they bought it for 50 million and now they are selling it you're buying it for 300 million. All right. Now, maybe you're paying it today. So let's see in the next 10 years or in the next 5 years, what story will someone say of your own? I mean, what will someone say of your own story? So always, the whole idea is to help them create a story, to connect with a story. All right. So data enters the brain usually, and that is one of the things that everybody know, but stories enters our soul. All right. So you have to be a good storyteller. In fact, there is no great salesman in the world that is not a good storyteller. All right. Because most time when I'm taking someone to show them a property or maybe even if it's a new site, I'm not just there to tell you about the fact about what we are doing, but the story of how the future will also even look like. All right. And usually sometimes I'll look at a similar story and share with you. All right. Remember the law of anchoring. And I will tell you about the success of another project and another one, and also show you the story of what this may becomes of you. So be a good storyteller if you must be able to master the act of selling. Now, another law, I think that's the law number 17, is the law of the walk away. This is very powerful, guys. All right. The law of the walk away. My mentor taught me this. And this made me like a dangerous person when I was actively, in fact, then I was into direct sales. All right. And when he shared this concept with me, it was literally mind blowing. All right. And this is what he told me. He said, now the law of the walk away, the whole idea, the philosophy is just all about that your willingness to walk away is directly proportional to your closing power. All right. Your willingness to walk away is directly proportional to your closing power. The buyer must say that you do not need the deal. Yes. All right. You do not need the deal. Desperation is usually the clutch of failure. All right. Desperation is the clutch of failure. People smell it immediately. All right. People smell it. Now, people can smell your desperation for something just like the way a dog can sniff a bone. Right? And usually, and I've seen this a lot. The moment your prospect knows that you need this deal, they begin to ask for even compromises. All right? They put you, because now they're in the position of power. They begin to make you make a lot of compromises, ask you many different things that probably work to your own, that is not in your own advantage. All right. So this is what my mentor told me. He told me a closer who needs nothing gets everything. And I want you to write that down. A closer who needs nothing gets everything. All right. And this is what I feel. It's like most times when people even know that you don't even care whether they actually buy it or not, but you can help them. You're there to help them get the best deal, but you don't actually even care as to whether they buy it or not. That is when you have power. And guess what? People want to buy from those kind of people because they feel, well, it's like this guy doesn't even care that whether I even buy this thing. There must be something in there. All right. Um, in in sales, we call it selling posture. Posture. Your posture needs to be strong. All right. It needs to be very strong. Be willing to walk away from the deal. All right. You can say some things like, well, I believe this is a perfect offer for you, but I've also understand that if the timing is not right for you, all right, I will make it. Maybe if the timing is not probably good for you, well, there's no pressure. All right. I will make this offer to the next person. All right. Now, they know that you have plenty options, and that's one of the characteristics of a good salesperson. You should have many options. When I go out there many years ago to do a lot of prospecting, and I see a lot of amateur salespeople will have a list of 5 people they are trying to talk to, 6 people, and they will say, Babana, I have up to 5 people that can you do? Well, I have like 50 people I'm talking to. So if you say probably no, I say who is next? I probably don't even get to remember you. The only reason why sometimes I get to remember because I already have you in my schedule, in my follow-up list. And that's all. So, there's this thing that happens to you when you have when your list is so much, you have this abundant mentality. All right. You have this kind of no fear mentality, and that what puts you in a position of power. But guess what? If you only have three, four, and you're now emotionally attached to the outcome, and when they don't buy, you get disappointed. All right. Yeah. So the law of the walkaway. Remember, a closer who needs nothing gets everything. I'm not telling you to be arrogant. Please don't confuse this to arrogance that, okay, I don't need you. You don't, yeah, I don't even want you to buy. No, that's not what I'm saying. But let it be in the psychologically, let the prospect know that, yeah, you're only here as a consultant or like to help them get the best deal. You are there to help them get the best deal. But even if should they choose not to do the business or to continue with it, it's actually fine because you have a lot of people that are also interested in the deal. All right. That psychologically communicates something. And because that is how opportunity is, the word opportunity means something that as we understand it, something that is not always there. All right. So if it's something that's readily available and they have that sense, then there's no sense of urgency. There's no reason why they should buy now. They can always procrastinate, 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 procrastinate. All right. So that is one of the laws. So law number 18, all right? The law number 18, and this is also a very important law. I'm sure a lot of people ignore this in their everyday dealing when they are closing businesses. We call it the law of the environment. And the whole philosophy here is very simple. It says where you present determines what they perceive. All right? Where you present your offer determines what they perceive about the offer. For example, I just want to give you an example. Maybe a deal presented in a hotel lobby may feel different from when the same deal is being presented in a dusty site office. All right? It doesn't communicate the same. So control the setting, control the environment. All right? When you control the settings, you control the psychology. All right? Now, I give you an example. Now, a developer closed, let's say, 500 million naira off-plan sales at a private dinner in Transcorp Hilton. Yeah. No, not probably at a site office. So most of the deals are being, so choose your location very well, all right? Now, the setting is your silent sales partner. Your environment, don't forget that. Your environment is your silent sales partner. So the settings to which you choose to discuss the deal, it's critical. Now you want to discuss about 500 million naira transaction, 100 million naira transaction, 300 million naira transaction. Find a comfortable environment where you can discuss that. Now, a lot of salespeople usually ignore that, but that is key. All right, that is central. Now, the final three laws, because I was telling you that there are about 21 laws that I was going to discuss with you yesterday. All right, that we're going to discuss about. So there are last three laws that I believe that are key and they are very important. So law number 19, we call it the law of speed. The law of speed. The law of speed. Now, the whole philosophy and the concept around the law of speed is that the speed of your response is directly equal to the speed of your income. The speed of your response. Now, a lot of time, now the realtor who calls back in 5 minutes usually beats the one who calls back every 5 hours. Now, every time. So speed is key as far as this business is concerned. In fact, there is another thing that we probably are going to talk about, but it's not part of this law. All right, we call it the law of diminishing interest. The law of diminishing interest. It usually says that the whole philosophy around it is that when you take someone to see a site, you want to make sure that you get them to take an action almost immediately. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a big commitment. It can be that they fill a form. Make sure you carry a form. Just get some form of commitment because guess what? Interest dies with time. And that is our nature. The best time to bend an iron is when it's hot. You don't wait. When it's cold, it becomes very hard to bend. And I give you an example because even your brain, like for example, today is Sunday. So many of you on the call went to church, and some of you probably on Friday were at the mosque, and then you listen to the sermon, and maybe on Friday or today in church, and you're very excited about the sermon, and you feel like, oh God, if I leave this place, I can guarantee that my life is going to change. But guess what? 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, By Wednesday, if you ask most people that are even on the call tonight, if you ask them, what was it taught? What did you learn on Sunday? They say, oh, wow, it's great. All right. But guess what? The brain remembers almost nothing. 70% of everything that you learn, even in the church, in the mosque, after 3 days, is like you've never been there. And I give an example. If I ask most of you on the call, what was the subject that was taught in church, in your church last Sunday, most of you will forget the topic. Most of you will struggle to remember, right? So also in sales, also the same thing. There is a law of there are 72 hours rule, which which you have to maximize it to be able to get some level of commitment, especially in the process. So remember the law of speed. Speed of response equals to speed of income. You want to make sure that, and there's what we call BAM farm. BAM farm. Write it down. BAM farm. BAMFAM. Book a meeting from another meeting. Book a meeting from another meeting. The reason why sometimes you set up a meeting and you meet someone and then the next time they don't want to see you or they feel like you're bugging them is probably because you have not put it in a proper context. So for every meeting, as the meeting is ending, I'm rescheduling until the close. Until the close. Okay, we just probably come from a site visit and it's nice. And I'll say, okay, when can we catch up so that probably we can discuss more of the details and the modalities. So we set up a date. Now, if you don't book a meeting from the last date, this is one of the things that will happen to you. You will find yourself calling the person after a week and say, ah, sir, I'm just calling, oh, man, I'm just calling to check up on you. All right. And after that one, now you make another call again, you look stupid. All right. So, but always schedule a meeting from the last meeting. We call it BAM FAM. Book a meeting from another meeting. Always. All right. Always. Now, law number 20 is the law of certainty transfer. The law of certainty transfer. This by far is very key as a salesperson. All right. It's like people can sense the level of your self-confidence that you exude in the process of sales. So the level of your certainty, anytime you are selling anything about the deal must be, don't forget this number, must be 10 times higher than the buyer's level of doubt. All right. Your level of certainty about the deal must be 10 times higher than the buyer's level of doubt. Now, certainty is not something that you must fake it, all right? It must be forged through knowledge, through preparation and knowledge, all right? If you are certain, you realize that most transactions that you are definitely certain about it. And guess what? Where does certainty comes, all right? Confidence comes from knowledge. Usually, anytime you are knowledgeable about something, you have a lot of confidence about it. All right. So that's why it still goes back to the same thing. You're going to make sure that you invest in learning. That's the product knowledge. Know about your product. But above all, remember this rule. Every time you present your offer, you must be able to exude some level of certainty that even the buyer perceive right in your presence. They know that undoubtedly you are 100% certain of the offer of what you're giving them. All right. And the levels, remember I said what? The level of your certainty must be at least 10 times higher than the buyer's level of doubt. Yeah. So a lot of time you see a lot of people, they're not even confident about what they're selling because they probably don't seem to know much about what they're selling or about their offer. All right. So the last one is the last law that we're going to be talking about tonight is the law of reinvention. The law of reinvention. I'm sure most of you already know that a closer who stops learning also start losing. Why? Because markets shift, buyers evolve, times change. All right. Even as we're seeing the exponential rise of technology is making a lot of things difficult for a lot of people. And let me tell you, before now, they say that knowledge expire after every 2.5 years. Guess what? With the advent of this technological advancement that we are seeing, especially in artificial intelligence and some of the things that we are seeing in our environment, it's going to be very hard for a lot of people in no time. All right. So your goal is to keep reinventing yourself, reinventing yourself. The rate at which you change, you learn must be faster than the rate at which change takes place so that you can always stay ahead of the change. All right. Always stay. Because guess what? If you're not reinventing yourself and you're always trying to catch up, a lot of people are playing the game of catching up. All right. And you don't want to be there. You don't want to be in that category. All right. Yeah. So, having said that, now I'll just want to quickly talk to us about objection. All right. Objection. Now, a lot of time, yeah. Okay. Are we good? All right. If we are good, let me know. Okay. All right. That's great. That's fine. Okay. That's fine. All right. So let me quickly just talk to us about objection. Now, this is one of the most important aspects when it comes in terms of selling, because guess what? Everything that you do at the end of the day, customers, sometimes they will always want to come up with also their objections. And a lot of time people feel objection, they sense objection, especially amateurs, as an attack on their offer or attack on whatever it is that they are selling. All right. Now, the real estate begins, and this is the truth. All right. The real sales begins when the buyer says no. All sales begin the moment the buyer say no. And the question is, Eladi, what do you mean? How does sales begin when a buyer says no? Because probably at that point, most times buyers have their own objection. And an objection simply means customer's concern. Don't see it as an attack on your person or on your offer or on whatever it is that you're offering. Remember, I told you that when we began the class, I told you that there are four enemies that will try to stop you. Four enemies. And the good thing is that they are just mental. They are not even physical. So you could as well deal with them. And most times, this is what I tell myself. I said, if the only enemy that will try to stop me from living the good life that I deserve are just this four mental thing, then probably for me, it's even worth it. All right. And remember, that day I told you one is rejection. People are going to say no. People are going to reject it. Whatever it is, no matter what you sell. I give an example that day. I said that for sometimes it doesn't matter whatever it is that you sell. Even if you are selling long life and prosperity, some people will still not buy it because you are the one that is selling it. All right. But remember, um, objection is not rejection. All right. It is a request for more certainty. Always, when you think of objection, just think of this word, customer's concern. All right. That there are areas that probably they need clarification. All right. And sometimes also dealing with customers, it can be tricky because sometimes they may be telling you something else while they mean something different. All right. This is what they are telling you, but what they're actually meaning is something different. So you have to be able to understand the psychology, and that's one of the things I'm trying to also let you understand. The psychology, part of what we're going to address. When they say this, what in reality, what do they actually mean? All right, so that you don't waste a lot of energy uh, trying to beat around the bush. All right. So behind every objection, there's usually an emotion that has not been addressed. So, and your response to this objection usually determines whether you are the kind of person that will earn 500,000 naira or 50 million naira or 500 million naira in commission. So you're going to master some of these five objections. All right. Now, remember, this is a preliminary stage. We're going to go in depth in our subsequent classes. All right. In our subsequent classes, we're going to even go in depth. Yeah. So we're going to go in depth, all right? And if you master these objections, I'm telling you, you will master 90% of deals already. Now, first of all, I'm sure most of the time you take people to side and they tell you that I don't have money. So the question is, have you ever taken someone to see a site and then they tell you, and you believe that this person can be able to buy this thing, and probably somewhere you know that this person actually have the money to be able to buy this thing, and they tell you I don't have money. First of all, before I start anything, any process of closing, I usually try to identify two things. One, objection or condition. All right. Objection is different from condition. All right. Maybe it may be conditions are legitimate reasons why the person cannot be able to afford the product or the service. But objections are sometimes also things that customers just come up with in order to avoid the buy. All right. So always first define, is this an objection or is it a condition? So sometimes I don't have money can be a condition, can be true, but sometimes it can also be an objection. And in my many years in selling, I realized that a lot of time, and when I said this, people used to feel, Yaladi, what do you mean? That I used to tell people that I realized that most people don't have money problems. Most times people have priority problems. So when people tell you I don't have money, usually what I learned that is that what they are saying is that I have not been shown enough value to prioritize this purchase. I have not seen enough, reason to be able to prioritize this purchase. Or I do not trust your offer enough to reveal my true financial position. That is what I noticed. For example, someone that will come to me, and maybe I'm just giving an example, all right? Let's just look at this hypothetical situation. If someone come to me now and he said, and I said, listen, there is a house that is worth 100 million naira. All right. Okay, no, let's say there is a house that is worth 500 million naira, but I need money and I need to sell this house for 100 million naira. Remember, the worth is 500, but I am selling it for 100 million naira and I need the money in one day, or else I change my mind. Let's say I give this offer to someone that I've already, that I've already scaled, I've already checked. Now, more often than not, the person will dare not tell me that they don't have the money. They will begin to think of how to come up with the money because they know that if they can buy it, even if it's 100 million, they can auction it for 500 million. So to them, it's a good deal. So even though they don't have the money, they will look for ways to be able to come up with the money so that they will be able to take advantage and seize the opportunity. So this is what I realized, that most times, because I have seen people that sincerely, genuinely, that I meet, that they don't have cash. But lack of cash doesn't mean that they don't have money. So what you're looking for, and some of the things that you look out for in your prospect, you look for, one, people that have means. Means doesn't necessarily mean money. Means can be that they know someone that they can call that can give them money. They have something they can sell to come up with the money. All right. How often, especially if you've been in sales very well, you understand what I'm talking about. Sometimes when you are selling something and there is a deadline, the deadline is about to hit, and then guess what? Someone will even auction something just to come up with the money so they don't lose the opportunity. So your goal is always to reframe, right? And here is what a lot of amateurs do. When people tell them, I don't have the money, they tell them that, well, we have payment plan. That's too early, all right? You haven't built enough value yet. Why give payment plan? All right. Well, for me, I don't do payment plan. I hardly do it. All right. But I'm not saying that you shouldn't. If your company allows that, if your systems allow that, it's still okay. All right. But guess what? I realized that people don't necessarily have problems with money. And when I said that, people laugh. They say, Ladi, be very honest, we're in Nigeria. But it's the same Nigeria that I still meet people that don't have money. Sometimes they tell me they don't have money, and I get them, sell something, look for money, do something to come up with the money, because I've been able to master the act of presenting my offer, right? And that's what you should do. When you invest in knowledge of how to present your offer, it becomes one of the greatest assets you have. All right. So when someone, here's the psychological reframe, what you should do. When people come up to me and then they say, maybe I don't have money, maybe you can. So what I want you to do not argue about money. Always shift. All right. The best way to go around it, always shift from cost to cost of inaction. All right. Don't forget that. All right. The psychological reframe that you need to do is what? When people tell you, I don't have money, remember, I told you that the reason why they said that is because they see means that you've not shown them enough value to prioritize this purchase. So shift from the cost in itself to cost of inaction. So make staying where they are more painful than investing. All right. Make staying where they are more painful than investing. So here is maybe an example of probably, let me just say, a kind of script that you must do. Yeah. Well, I understand. All right. But let me ask you, if this property doubles in value in 3 years, for example, like similar ones around this area, will you find the money? I tell someone, for example, that this property, maybe the next property here was listed last year this time for 3.4 million and is now 11.9 million. And this now is being listed for 5 point something million, right? And in the next probably 12 months, we are looking at 15 million. So if this one did about 3 times and maybe 300% in 1 year, and this one also, the point of entry probably is low. And so remember, the psychological thing that I'm just trying to get you to do is remember the law of contrast, all right? Let them see, shift from just the cost rather than saying, "Oh, well, we have payment plan, we are going to reduce the price for you to do all this." Those are things that most times the amateur does. You can look around, look at other prices. Let them see the price projection, the projection of your offer. Let them see what other people have benefited in the plot around. All right. And let them understand the pain of of inaction, the pain of them not investing in the next 1 year, 2 years. So remember, last day, I think on Friday, or was it Thursday, I told you that people make decisions based on fear of loss than possibility of gain. So if this thing do 300%, let's say a plot of land here do 3.4 million, and now it's 11.9 million now. And let's say this one is just about 5 point something million, and you're sure that it will be 15 million. Now you use that to your advantage. You let them know that, hey, sir, well, this is now 15 million. I mean, this is now 5 million naira, but it will cost you. You're going to lose about 10 point something million in the next 12 months if you don't purchase this thing, or if you don't take advantage of this. All right. Now, or the cost, the value, probably the money will still be 5 point something million in your bank, but what will be the value in the next maybe 15 months compared to? So the whole idea is always reframe. Now shift from cost to cost of inaction. Now, and a lot of times, sometimes we hear things like another objection, like maybe I need to think about it. How many of you have been in that position before? You take someone to side and it's a very wonderful offer, very nice, and then you're excited about it, and then they tell you, boom, they hit you with the objection. Probably, well, I'll go and think about it. All right. Now, first, there is a three-step framework that I want all of you to remember. Three-step framework when dealing with a lot of objections. All right. Now, please write it down. FFF. Feel, felt, found. Feel, felt, found. Feel, felt, found. All right. It's a three-step objection. All right. It's what? Feel, felt, found. Now, if you understand this, it will help you to be able to navigate most objections, especially when it comes in terms of sales. So I give you an example. When someone tell you that maybe the price is expensive, let's still go back to that. I say, well, let's say maybe I show the opportunity to Mr. John, and I say, well, Mr. John, always validate first. Validate their objection. Let them know that, yeah, they're right. By the way, they said customers are always right. Okay. So, Mr. John, well, I think what you're saying is right. All right. When I first saw this opportunity, I felt the same way too. All right. Feel, felt, found. Whatever it is they tell you. So if it's not something that is directly applied to you, look for someone that is successful and apply it to them. Please pay attention. And I'll give you an example. All right. Okay. Mr. John, when he said that, this place is too far, it's out of town, Maybe that's the kind of objection that someone tell, well, I'm not looking for something. I'm looking for something in town. I don't want something is far out of town. Then you can say something like, well, Mr. John, right? I think you're right. Because now anytime you validate their objection, it usually shocks the prospect because they expect that you should enter into a defensive mode. They expect that you start telling them, well, no, it's not far. It's just the way you're thinking. Now, the moment you enter that mode, you have lost the game. So first is to validate it. How do you validate it? Hey, Mr. John, I think you're right. You pause and then allow the silence. You say, you know what? The first time I came here, I felt the same way too. But what I realized, now, I think you're right. The first, I feel the same way too, all right? But the first time I came here, I felt the same way too. But what I found out, now, then that was when you now give your discovery. I found out that properties in this area tend to appreciate even far much more than in a developed area. And because in my interest, which also align with your interest, is that we want to make a lot of money in a very short time, all right? I figured out this actually even fits what we are looking for the best. So when you reframe, always reframe to put it in a positive note. Someone tell me that, well, it's costly. I say, well, Mr. John, I think I felt when I first saw this plot, or when, you know what, Mr. John, most people, when they came here the first time, they feel the same way too. But what most people found out is that this plot comes with certificate of occupancy, C of O. This plot also, we learned that there is a massive infrastructure that government is doing already in this area. In fact, this is the future. That's why a lot of people are excited about it, and that's why they usually buy. You see how you probably, you take it the same objection, but you use the same three framework, and you can use this three framework in literally every kind of objection that comes up to you. All right? Maybe I'm going to think about it. Is you can also use the same thing. Mr. John, when I first see this, when many people came here, when they first saw this, that is the same kind of thought that they had. But what they found out is that then you look for those good reasons that makes actually people buy, then you throw it for them. So people don't want to be the first. Remember, I told you yesterday, the other day, all right? So they don't want to take risks. So let them know that, they are not alone. In fact, most people, when they came to that particular place, they feel the same way. But what they also find out, then you lose the advantage. And then this is what they found out. And that's why most of them, in fact, are even more excited when they found those things out. And that's why they buy. You see, when you do that, you reframe the objection, you put it in a positive light, and then you still continue. All right? Feel, felt, found. You can use it in literally most places. All right. So what about, remember, what about someone tells you, okay, I need to think about it. All right. Yeah. What they really actually mean is that you have not made me feel safe enough to decide right now. Right? I need to think about it. So what they're really saying is that you've not made me feel safe enough to decide right now. So I'm afraid of making a mistake. Right? So here's the psychological reframing, what you need to do. Isolate the real concerns, right? Isolate the real concern. The thinking is not the problem. The feeling is the problem, right? The thinking is not the problem. Usually the feeling is the problem. So find the specific fear and address it directly. So I give an example, all right? Maybe they tell you that you say, of course, what specifically would you like to think through? Is it the direction? Is it the documentation? Is it the investment structure? Is it the location? All right. Because if I can clarify that right now, it might save you weeks of probably having to go back and forth. All right. So always try to find the real objection. All right. Now, the real cost. the real specific thing and address it. So never say things like, okay, well, take your time. That's what a lot of people do. Well, I will think about it and say, all right, sir, all right, man, take your time. Now, you are giving them permission to forget you. And as a salesperson, you must never be able to do that. All right. Now, what about in some cases where you now hear, sorry, excuse me. All right. Yeah. So what about, yeah, in some settings, people tell you that after seeing the property, they say, well, I'm going to talk to my spouse and I will get back to you. I'm sure a lot of time, most of you experiences that a lot, all right? Now, in Nigeria, there are invisible decision makers, probably in most financial transactions. And some people, it can be their spiritual fathers or their spiritual mothers, all right? It can be their pastors, or their imams. It can be their spouses. It can be probably someone that they respect or something that people usually reference to. So that I'm going to teach you in the next class more on that. But just at the foundation level, remember, I'm saying that, okay, what if they tell you I'm going to talk to my spouse? What do they actually mean? All right. What they're implying is that I'm not confident enough to make this decision alone. I am not confident enough to make this decision alone. I need someone else to share the risks of this choice with me. All right. So what do you do in this kind of settings? All right. So the goal is you make sure that you respect the relationship, but you arm them with information. Respect that their decision, all right, but arm them with a lot of information. So make them the closer so that when they leave, they will be the one to close the deal. So give them ammunitions that they will use to convince their partners. All right. Some people say, okay, let me know what your partner, and I see that a lot, a lot of salespeople, when people tell them, well, let me talk to my spouse, they will say, okay, let me know. You just make yourself irrelevant to the conversation. So what you do in those kind of settings in the closing process, all right? Let me just give you a typical example of a script. For example, you may say things like, okay, that makes perfect sense, all right? This is a family decision. And when you discuss it tonight, here is what I want you to highlight. So all the 3 or 4 most important strong points that convinced the person to make that decision, those are the things you will the prospect with. Yes, the prospect, because typically that prospect now is becoming, it's becoming a closer on your side, all right? And if your spouse has probably any question, I'm readily available to pick a call at your convenience. Does it make sense? All right? Yeah. So that's how you go probably about that. The next one is probably is too expensive. I'm sure a lot of you probably have that a lot. I've had that a lot in your process. Someone you take to see a property, a house, or anything, and I tell you, oh, well, this is too expensive. All right. So what do they actually mean when they tell you that it's too expensive? What they mean is that you have not shown me why this is worth more than the number I see. All right. Because when we say expensive, is a relative word compared to what? All right. It probably means that I'm comparing this to something cheaper without understanding their differences. So I need information. So what you do, all right, the psychological framework that you need to build in here is never defend a price. Always reframe a context. The problem with a lot of salespeople is they go and start defending the price. No, what do you mean that it's too expensive? Or I can even give you a discount. We are running a promo. We can give you a discount, all right? Well, you just destroy your position. You must never do that. So never defend the price. What you must always do is always to reframe the context. Expensive compared to what? Show a contrast, probably show what they get, show what cheap may cost them in the long term, right? So those are the data that probably you need to come up with in order, when anytime someone tells you that something is expensive, you now activate that law of the contrast that we talked about earlier on, all right? So for example, compared to what? The law of the anchoring. Remember that, yeah? So you ask them, compared to what? Okay, plot in this area probably are cheaper. For example, I know someone I've shown a plot for someone and someone said, well, but I know someone that bought a plot for 15 million. And I know that the only reason why that person was able to get a plot for 15 million in that place of that size was because the paper was AMAC. So he was using the mindset of uh, I mean, yeah, the mindset of someone who have bought a plot with that the documentation is AMAC paper compared to FCDA C of O. So you see, at that point, it is my responsibility to educate the person. So usually your goal as a salesperson is education. All right. Your goal is what? Is education. And the more you educate, the more also you look like you're an authority and the more they even trust you more. So in anything, whatever it is that you're selling, that should be your goal. So he told me that, he said, engineer, but my friend bought it in this same area for 15 million. I said, well, I think that may be right. But I am very confident that what he also bought was AMAC paper. The question is, let me ask you that I know someone of your kind prioritize having a peace of mind than having to spend any money on something that tomorrow can be a potential litigation and case for you. And of course, so I try to just show them the pros and the cons. So that is what you do. Always reframe the context. Never depend the price. Right. In fact, nobody win the price war because guess what? There will always be someone that may sell something cheaper than you. And there may always someone that may be selling something more expensive than you. All right. It's your context. If you're successful in applying most of the laws, you also be able to see how you can harness and channel the conversation towards your desired outcome. All right. Yeah. So in objection responses, there are 5 things that probably I want you to acknowledge, to take a note. All right. 5 basic things that you must not forget. Number one, always validate their concern. Never dismiss it. I've seen a lot of people make that mistake. A customer is telling you something. I say, oh no, it's a lie. In fact, yesterday I had a conversation with someone, and in fact, right even that yesterday, he patronized me. He's waiting for tomorrow, Monday, so that we can finalize the transaction. And he's going to make a payment of 2 plot of much more than 100 and something million naira. And one of the only reasons why he purchased was that he was telling me that he doesn't trust all these developers in Abuja, and that this land problems. There are so much land problems in Nigeria and especially in Abuja, and I'm scared. Guess what? You know what he is telling me? Why he is telling me? He expects me to tell him, no, because no, there are no land problems in Abuja. It's just that you are buying it from the wrong person and all those things. That is what a typical person will do. And if you do, that makes you like every other person else. What I did, I validate. When he said that, I said, sir, actually, you're right. And he looked at me like he was even shocked. I said, yeah, I said, to be very honest, a lot of developers in Nigeria, especially in Abuja, does a lot of bad things. And I cannot be on this table and try to convince you otherwise or to dismiss that what they are doing is bad. And because I'm also a developer, I wouldn't even want to exempt myself from this. All right. In this our industry, I believe there are a lot of people do a lot of shady things and bad things. And in fact, one of the things he was telling me, he said he purchased a property for 5 years, and up to now, the property have not been delivered to him. And from two different people. So he is scared. And I told him, I said, yeah, you should be, actually. But this is what we do different. All right. So, and I'll tell him, so the fact that I accepted it built a trust, that this is someone that he can trust. Rather than trying to be in a defensive mood, I accepted it. All right. So, and I told him, I said, sir, yeah, I actually understand that concern, but it's because of that concern. That is why what we choose to do a service plot. So in this estate, we have some service plot that when people buy, they have the opportunity to be able to build it at their own pace. How about that? He said, well, that sounds nice. You see, Always validate whatever it is probably that they're concerned. And when you validate it, now the step two, you make sure that you isolate it. Find the real objection underneath it. Usually, maybe it can be fear. For this man, I'm sure it's probably of fear. And you cannot also argue with someone's experience because his experience is real to him. All right? You'll be very foolish to be arguing with someone's experience because the only thing you can do is to allow him, give him opportunity to have a better experience. So, number one, acknowledge. And you do that by validating their concern. You don't make sure that you don't dismiss it. Number two things you do is to isolate. Find the real objection underneath the discussion. Find what they are not saying, but they wish they can say. And third, you reframe it. Shift the perspective from risk to regret also. All right? And then the fourth step, you make sure that you provide specific answers that they need, just like the example I gave you with this man, and then advance. That's the last stage. Step number five. Step number five, move to the next step. Never leave them hanging. Always. Guess what? 90% of people don't close because 90% of people never ask for the close. They show you a lot of information and then they ask you, what do you think about it? Let me tell you, never ask a prospect what you think about it because when you ask that question, it helps them to access the logical part of their brain. Ask them, what do they like best about your offer? What do they like best about what they see? All right. Now, it automatically positions their mind. It accesses the right part of their brain. All right. So they begin to tell you, oh, I like the fact, I like the location, I like this, I like this. You say, well, for me, it sounds like you like it. Let's get you started. All right. So okay, anyway, we are coming there. All right. So I want you to hear this. The amateurs hear an objection and hears a wall. He sees it like a problem, but a closer hears an objection and hears a door slightly open. Don't forget this. An amateur hears an objection and he hears a wall, like someone just hit a wall and say, this problem don't come again. But a closer hears an objection and hears a door slightly open. Remember, I told you that day that questions means interest. If someone is not interested, they're probably never going to ask you any question. All right? They're probably never going to ask you any question. So, quickly, let me just share with you some tips probably that has to do with closing, and how do you close? Now, first of all, there are rules that you must follow if you must be a very good closer. Number one, be confident. All right? Be confident. Don't be timid in the process of closing. Number two, sometimes it is also safe to compliment the prospect. All right? Yes. Yes. Step number three, make sure that you show value. They know that what they are buying is valuable. Always. Step number four, take it away. Never leave the value on the table. Now, in sales, as an expert, you play to win. And if you can't win, you don't play at all. I'll never forget that. That's what the masters does. They play to win, and if they can't win, they don't play it at all. So what you do, you never leave the value on the table. All right? So this is the opportunity, and it's here, and it's something that you will want to take advantage of. But just in case you're not interested, or just in case you probably need to think more about it, this opportunity will be handed over to someone else. All right. You see, I have taken it away. All right. And these are frameworks that you must be able to follow. So number one way to close, there's what we call assumption close. All right. Assumptive close. Now, every time you are closing, you should assume that the person is already buying. In fact, that you are shocked that if they don't buy, it will surprise you that, all right, that if they say no. So act as if the decision has already been made. That's what the assumption clause says. So I am showing you the property. You are excited about it. I ask you what you like best about it. You tell me about maybe you like the fact that it's close to this. You like the fact that it's this. You like the fact it's this. I'm taking my form. All right. Yes, I'm already assuming the sale. And I can tell you that I cannot tell, I mean, the number of people that have always tell me, yes, it's so much. All right. So, and I asked you the next question. I said, so now going forward, will you want, as we're talking, I'm even probably sometimes I may even help you to fill the form. I said, will you want to purchase the property with your name or with your spouse name or probably with your company name? All right. Remember, I'm already assuming the sale. All right. So between is in the estate of all our prototype, which one would you like to go for? Is it the 500 square meter or the 250 square meter? Let me tick it. You're already assuming the sale. All right. Always assume the sale. Always. All right. Now, remember, another type of closing, we call it scarcity close. All right. Scarcity close. Now, genuine scarcity is most powerful tool that you already know in sales. That's why I said, show value, take it away. All right. The process of taking that value away is what creates scarcity. But remember, I told you that never fabricate scarcity. Always be in integrity mode because buyers in Nigeria, they talk. One lie will destroy your entire market and your integrity. All right. So you may say something, for example, like 28 units were released. And as I'm talking to you right now, 24 are already have been allocated. We are discussing one of the final four. Right? When real scarcity meets genuine desire, naturally resistance will always disappear. All right? Resistance will naturally disappear. So create scarcity and competition. Always create scarcity and what? And competition. I give you an example. There was an example I gave some people. I did an analysis. First of all, I use what we call story close. In the story close, you share a story of an event that helps someone to be able to make a decision. I remember this client that I'll never forget. I gave this story to some of my few students, and I was telling them how I closed him. I took my phone and calculator, and I told him that, I met someone that he knew that used to be very successful and now financially struggling. And I said, well, if that man had listened to advice before, probably he wouldn't have been in that position. Probably he was asking, what kind of advice? I said, do you know that if that man had purchased 1,000 square meters, all right, and I carry my phone like that, all right, and I said 1,000 square meter, and he had bought, let's say he used like 250 million to build at least 6 units of 3-bedroom flats on that. And I gave him calculation. I said, uh, I like to be negative, but here's the deal that I was telling him. I said, you know what, sir? Me, I like to be negative. And he said, why? I said, because sometimes things doesn't work the way you will expect. He said, exactly, Eladi. And I like that. I said, yeah. So let's suppose that we build this unit and then we have 6 units of 3-bedroom flat. I know that in that location around this location, a 3-bedroom flat per night goes for about 250,000 naira as an apartment. But let's be negative. Let's say that we crash the price to 150,000 naira per night. I'm sure our occupancy rate will almost be 100%. He said, exactly. And I said, now we have 150 times 6 times at least, let's even be negative again. In a month, suppose that we only get 20 days. So I was helping him think through as I am punching it. He is already saying, and we came to a conclusion that I said in a month, averagely, he can make an average of about 12 million naira every single month. And I asked him, I said, listen, sir, imagine what you will do with an extra 12 million naira every single month without quitting your full-time job, especially when you're out of the job. I said, you know what, as I'm talking to you right now, I learned that there's an opportunity to own that kind of plot of land. And as of the last time, I can't promise you anything right now because as of the last time, I learned that the land in that location, particular location, is almost gone. But I happens to be close to someone there. Let me call the MD to see if probably even because of the relationship we have, we can squeeze you to see if we can get at least 1 or 2 plots of that for you. All right. Remember, there is scarcity there. All right. There is competition there. And then remember, there is a story clause there. The idea of the story is let him be able to see how his life will be if he finally owned that, and also how his life will be if he failed to do it. All right. So you get the idea. So the next one is what we call the future clause, all right? The future projection clause, which is almost more or less like what I just shared now, all right? Your goal is to transport the buyer into the future, into their future life as an owner, all right? Anytime you want to close, don't just sell the idea of the logic. Tell them something like, imagine it is December 2028 and you're standing maybe on the balcony of your completed duplex. Your wife is calling you for a dinner. Your children are playing downstairs. All right. That moment, start with the decision you make today. Now, let me tell you something that you need to know. The brain cannot distinguish between what is imagined and what is a memory. And so long as you find a way to connect the person's brain, all right, you find a way to connect it, to have an emotional connection to what you are selling, the chances that it's going to be successful, the chances that the success rate of the close is already very high. Because the brain doesn't know what is real and probably what is imagined. Because whatever is true to it, it is true. So when buyers feel the future, all right, the present decision become obvious. So, but mostly this is the most emotionally powerful clause in most existence. Your goal is to connect them, create a story, project them into the future. So for that future to happen, we have to make it the decision today. Let's secure this plot for you in order for us to make that future happen today. Always, you are not selling a futures, you are selling a future. Your goal as a salesperson, remember I said that yesterday, never sell a future. Future or as in Features. No, sell future, Future. Is the future version of what will be on that land, what will be, how their life will be in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years. If they are buying it for investment, your goal is to create a scenario to show them how much money, how their life will be as a result of the money they will make, as a result of what they're going to build there and the income they will generate, and how painful their life will be if they fail to meet up with this thing, if they fail to secure this great awesome day of a lifetime. All right. So the next one is identity clause. Don't forget that. Remember, one of the laws we talked about identity in one of the laws. All right. So the most powerful form of clause usually target who the buyer becomes, not what they buy. What they become by buying their property. Remember, I told you that the difference between Pape and Asoko and Maitama is just the road. All right? But guess what? You know the difference between Asokoro and Karu. You already know. But the identity is what you sell. So whatever offer that you are having, find a way to create and to build a certain level of identity, all right, into that your offer, all right? So you can tell something like, this is not just a property, all right? This is who you are becoming, maybe a landowner. All right, let them know that they are becoming a landowner. They are building a legacy, all right? A person who chooses to build wealth when everyone else chooses comfort. Those kind of identity that you sell to whosoever that is buying. So identity alignment is irreversible. Once someone sees themselves as an investor, they cannot go back. That's what I realize. All right. So your goal is to frame the decision as identity confirmation. Say something like, sir, you already know that you are a kind of person who acts. All right. This is just the next step. Let's take the next step. All right. So this clause works very powerful in my experience, especially in Nigerian market, where property equals to status, status equals to respect. All right. So find a way to maximize this. Find a way to maximize this. Now, then there is the last one. All right. As we wind down this aspect, all right, we call it the takeaway clause. All right. I think I've already made mention of it. I say sometimes the fastest way to close is to take the opportunity away. I've said it time after time again. All right. So actually, let me review this again. All right. Say something like, actually, let me review this again. This particular allocation may not be suitable for your current timeline. Let me see what else we have. Now you are taking an opportunity away from them. That moment you pull back, something happened. The buyer desires spikes. Now remember, loss aversion kicks in. So they fight to keep what they feel is being taken away from them. All right. So you use it sparingly, use this method. It's a precision instrument that you can use in your sales process. Not a daily tool though. It's not something that you use daily in your closing. All right. So there's another thing that you can also do. We call it I think the price sandwich method. A lot of time people take price and then they just dump a price, all right? So what you want to avoid is that never present a price naked. Always wrap it in value, all right? Never present a price naked. Always present it in value. Value, price, value. So you get a fully documented 500 square meter plot in Katampe with C of O, 5 years appreciation projection, all right, and a membership into our investors network, all for 38 million naira. And this includes land surveys, documentation levy, and even legal fee. You see how you put everything together, all right? So you make sure you put what? Value, price, value. So buyers hear value first, they digest the price, then immediately they hear more value. All right. So the price become a single ingredient in a rich meal, not the entire dish. And that's what you want to do. All right. Are we good? So we have the deadline close. And I'm sure I see this happen a lot in most in Nigerian real estate. All right. Yes. I see it a lot. It happens. Sorry, excuse me. I see that happens a lot. And do you realize that most times when you are selling, especially when your company is running a promotion, and the more it's around the time when the deadline is about to end, that you see a lot of people probably try to make commitment. Yeah, it still goes back to the same reason that I said earlier, loss aversion. People make decision based on what? Fear of loss than possibility of gain. All right? Yes. Yeah. People make decision based off. So create real timeline that forces action. Now, give you an example. Pre-launch allocation closes on Friday at 6 p.m. And after that, the price moved to the public rate, to the public launch rate. So which is 25% higher. So another thing is that a deadline must be real. Document it and enforce it. Never extend it without consequence. Because if you do, people will not trust you again. All right. They always feel like, we know that, no, even though it's this thing, no, we can still call and then it can be extended. Now, even if you must extend it, it must come with certain consequences, maybe certain percentage that the person have to pay. But once people know you to be firm with that, it builds trust. People can trust you. Now, in Nigerian real estate, now first pricing we know is common and usually expected. So you use it as your natural deadline. All right. So deadlines are not pressure. They must be something that they are structure for decision makings, basically. And it will always work in your favor. All right. So here is one aspect that is very important. That's the act of the combination of the closing. And there are three things that you see there. Number one, there's going to be a future projection. Second, scarcity. Third, assumptive. And then fourth, the silence. So imagine your life with this investment completed. All right, only 3 units. Uh, maybe, yeah, okay. In terms of scarcity, for example, you now say something, only 3 units remain at this place. Assumption, should I reserve this in your name and send the document? Or as we continue going further, whose name will you want to be on the legal title? I mean, whose name will you want to be on the documentation? Is it you or your spouse? All right. Or how will you like to pay? Is it through transfer or through bank transfer or probably through POS because we have POS in our office. All right. Just always, assumption. You always assume the sale. And then the last one, which is key, silence is golden. Now, say nothing, let them decide. A lot of time I see people make this mistake in terms of selling. They finish talking and then they keep talking. They talk themselves out of the sale. They just remember that there is one point that they needed to make. There is this thing that they needed to say. Guess what? They keep talking and they talk themselves out of the sales. All right. So don't do that. Make sure that you don't fill in the vacuum. All right. In fact, if you don't know what to do, count up to 30 seconds in your mind. 1, 2, 3, and just be looking. All right. That's very uncomfortable, but that silence is golden. It helps you in your process. Anytime you make a request for sale, that is what you must do as a matter of fact. All right. So let me ask you something. All right. 1 year from today, you will look back and say, I'm glad I acted or I wish I had. The question, all right, is the entire game. So there is cost of inaction. And this is for you that are on the call. All right. Every deal you do not close is a neutral event. I mean, it's not a neutral event, it's a lost. I want you to sink it to your head. Every deal you that is on the call tonight, every deal you do not close is not a neutral event, it's a lost. The commission that you did not earn, the client who went to your competition, all right? The wealth that was one conversion away from being yours. You do not lose deals because of the market. You lose deals because of moments you hesitated. After today, hesitation is no longer an option. Your goal is to go out there, get certain things done, push beyond your limit, all right? And we're going to make a 90 days commitment in the process. I noticed that the time. Okay, that's fine. All right. So are we together? Are we good? Are we getting any value from the calls tonight? If you're learning something, all right. Let me see if awesome. 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 That's great. Okay, that's good. That's good. Awesome. Awesome. Now, here's what I want you to know that the market does not reward the talent. The market does not reward effort. The market rewards the person who knows how to close. Your goal, your number one goal is to study. All right. Every hour you spend on studying is not waste. Every minute you spend studying, all right, helps you to bridge your gap. In every market, there are many sellers, but very few closers. And the difference between both is the difference between survival and between wealth. Your goal is not to survive. Your goal is to build wealth. Okay? So I would like us to take like probably 2 minute break, just 2 minutes. Don't go, I mean, I will just want maybe 2 or 3 persons to tell me what you've learned so far before we continue. I want to lay a foundation for our next class after this feedback. And is the foundation is I want to lie on the topic how to sell nothing. Remember, I told you that until you can sell nothing, you're not a salesperson yet. A lot of people needs product before they can sell, but a true salesman is someone who can sell, they say, an ice to someone that is in Eskimos. Abi? Yes. So that's the goal. How to sell a concept, how to sell an idea. All right. Yeah. So I just need one or two persons. Yeah. Just share with me what you learned. Maybe Sam, you can unmute. Anybody can raise their hand. At least one or two persons, just to share with me what they learned tonight uh, from that training. As we launched an introductory part of our next class, how to sell nothing. Okay, Sam, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. So you can just raise your hand
Okay, anybody can just
and
indicate by raising your hand. All right.
indicate so that just check on the options on Zoom. You can raise hand to that.
Okay. Okay, yes. Just give at least two people, and then we are about to start. Okay, somebody, Michael, Sam, you just delegate that responsibility to anybody. I mean, yeah, you can give anybody the flow. I think Michael is raising his hand, and Ezekiel.
Good
Hey,
evening,
men and brethren.
Doctor. Nice to hear and follow you.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, I one of the key lesson I learned right from the last class to this point is the secret of silence. That hit me so hard, and really, I saw it as a great principle that works in every ramification. It was an eye opener for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's great. That's great. All right. Next, and then we start our class properly. Sam, are you checking? There is someone that is on the chat. I think Michael, he raised his two hands.
Okay, Michael, I'm still trying to locate you. Can you just check the Zoom options? You'll see how to raise your hand there.
Hello?
Hmm.
Hello?
Yes, Michael, we can hear you. Go on.
Okay. All right. So far, what I've learned so far is there will be a lot of rejections. There will be a lot of rejection, but we have to be very confident and we need to learn how to place value, most especially when we are offering prizes. We should learn how to wrap value around our price. We shouldn't just give prizes just like that. We should try to add some value to it. And also we should um learn how to use our scarcity, using the scarcity method to create a quick um
Urgency.
urgency for our buyers.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's great. Okay, yeah. See my sister Hinje. Hinje, how are you? Babana, you can, yeah, unmute Hinje.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
So part of what I learned today is when you talked about creating urgency, that has helped me close some deals before. But what I actually learned much today is not to contradict your client. Most of the time when clients start giving me their complaints that they've been scammed before, I try my best to defend myself and say, okay, this one is not like that, it's not like that. But now I've learned not to counter my client, rather accept their feelings, just like you said, field and yeah, accept their
Welcome.
feelings and then try to bring out a better option of what I have to fit into what they have. Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's great. That's powerful. That's awesome. Okay. So quickly, remember that day I said I'm going to lay a foundation on how to sell nothing. And I think I have something to that effect. Okay. Yes. Wow. Yeah. Yes. I'm sure you can see it. Yeah. Yes. It's for Hiladi's Closers Acceleration Program, How to Sell Nothing and Master Everything. These are forbidden knowledge of elite real estate closers. And the goal is to transform ordinary people into deal-making machines through these principles. All right. So at the end of this is a 12 modules courses that I've designed. At the end of it, you will be able to sell literally probably anything. All right. Literally anything. Now, I want you to remember this philosophy. Until you can sell nothing to people, you have not mastered the act of selling. Yes. Why? Because a lot of people require products before they can sell. They have to have land to sell. What if there is no land? They need to have a building before they can sell. All right. They need to have this bottled water before they can sell. All right. So in the module, first of all, we're going to go deep into the psychology of money and sales. And then we will now look at why do people buy what they buy? Specifically, why do they buy land or houses? And then there are 7 levels of trust, how to build trust from day one. Remember, I told you that I used to do a program called the immediate years formula. And in the immediate years formula, what I figured out is that for sales to happen almost at the speed of light, one of the greatest barrier to sales is trust. So if you are the kind of person that can know how to build trust literally instantly, all right, and ask for the sale, your closing ratio will be very high. So we are going to dwell more on that because my goal is to show you how to build trust almost instantly, all right, and ask for sales. And then we're going to also see how billion-dollar developers think, because this is a mental thing. How do they think? What separates them from the other people? And then the perfect real estate pitch, how you can pitch your ideas, how you can pitch your offers, all right? How you can get people to buy into the vision of what you are doing, not necessarily the product of your vision, but how they can buy into the vision first of what you are doing. Because when people buy at the vision level, the product become unnecessary. But you have to make sure that you deliver the product so that you can be in integrity mode. All right. And we will also look at in depth on the science of closing big deals. What are the 2 plus 3 of the things you need to do? All right. Now, all these things that I'm going to share with you, they are things that I've learned in more than close to 15 years. All right. And I've practiced. Most of you know that I've been in sales for close to 15 or almost 20 years. That's most of the things that I've done. And these are the things I didn't invent this thing. They are things that I've learned that I learned from people who have made millions, if not in some cases, hundreds of millions of dollars in different industries with this knowledge. All right. And also, I'm going to teach you practical way, not theoretical way, not book way of following up, but practical way how to follow up that will print money, that helps you to print money. And then we will now go in depth into the objections every realtors must be able to master. All right, 9 objections every realtors must master. How to never hear some kind of objections again in the first place. All right, and then we will now finally talk about sell land without owning land. How about you don't own land and you want to make money, not just as a realtor? All right, now, when I said that, I was telling someone the concept this day, and he said, wow, he said it's a very simple thing, but how come he never thought of that? All right. So I'm going to show you how to sell land without even owning land. In other words, how you can how to print money through a system. All right. It's going to be crazy. And then, of course, in our module 10, we'll now talk about personal brand that attract buyers. All right, how to, but of course, at the module 3, when we will talk about the 7 levels of trust, already we'll have been able to include part of it, how to build certain brand. And of course, there is a complete different course on branding, all right, that we are going to take during the course of our program, all right. And I have an expert, in fact, that is going to come and take us on that one. And then, second to the lastly, all right, we will now talk about how to multiply your commissions, how to make a lot of money earning commissions in the process, all right? And then finally, building a lifetime client pipeline. In fact, there is a book that I want to recommend for everybody that is on the call today, all right? They call it's called How to Win Customers and Keep Them for Life, all right? Now, I want you to read it before we get to the last module on how to build a lifetime client pipeline, all right? Guess what? In this market, there are 3 kind of market, and I tell people a lot that we have 3 kind of market. Now we have, and it's something that all of you on the call already know. You have the cold market, people that you don't know them, and there are more people in your cold market than there are in the other 2 markets. All right, there will always be more people that you don't know compared to the people that you know. But that represent potentials. It simply means that there are a lot of money that you can make. All right, there. And remember, your money is in the hand of a stranger. So the goal also is to show you how to approach this stranger, how to collect your money. Now, I used to do one program, Who Has My Money? All right, and I learned that concept from Grant Cardone. And I'll never forget that, because he said, guess what? The money you're looking for is in the hand of a stranger. You just have to find a legitimate way to get it by providing a certain values, either product or service to them. All right. Yeah. So it's going to be awesome by the grace of God. And I'm excited, actually. I'm excited. All right. I'm excited. So I think I don't want to over exhaust us tonight. All right. So it is okay. Probably we will call it a day from here tonight. But I want you to be prepared to get ready for the next class. It's going to be phenomenal. And I promise you that it's going to be awesome. And I can't even wait to celebrate all of you. But my joy is just that I would like you to practicalize those things. All right. All this information is useless if you don't use them. All right. If you don't use them, it's useless. All right. So some people are asking me and about our offer. I promise that for some people that exceptionally do well in this our journey, all right, I'm giving out some cars to them, all right, and I'm also giving out some vacations, all right, where we are going to travel all of us together, go and celebrate you somewhere. So we have chosen 2 places, all right, in one journey. And it's literally nothing. And for me, practically, I want everybody on this group to be on to be in that vacation. All right. So to qualify, it's just nothing. It's very simple. You just make a cumulative sales, experiment what you know. All right. In 2 months, all right, just make a sale of just 100 million naira, and guess what? You get your commission, and you also qualify to go to 2 countries, all expense paid for with me. I know a lot of real estate company that does that. They even do it maybe in 1 month to make that sales. But guess what? Because I want everybody on this call to be there, because that is where the real thing is gonna be. We're gonna have an opportunity to all be together to discuss this thing. And how do you do that? It's very simple. It can be that maybe you just sell one plot of land in one of our estate that is worth 100 million naira, and boom, you're there. You still get your money. At least you get about 5 to 7 million, depending on your level. All right. And guess what? That is nothing compared to what you're going to become, because my goal is not even about the cars that you're going to get. Of course, you will get it. It's not even about the, and I've also put in the package for people after you go on vacation, you come back, you have a car. You also make sure that we give you a premium land in some of our good, some of our estate. And I think that's going to be very awesome. All right. Yeah. So, but all those are things. My concern is you. All right. Let's focus on you first. But the only way I can track your progress is through certain activity. All right. Is to be able to track that you are actually using the things that we talked about, is that when you are able to make a sale. All right. So at least so that it will also be a win-win. I don't also see that I take a lot of my time and invest it just like that. But at least in the process, I know that you are able to make your life much more useful. So you can share the flyers. They will put the flyers on the group. There are people that you know, all right? There are friends that you know. And sometimes the person that you think might buy might not even buy. Sometimes the person you think might not buy might end up buying, all right? Sometimes they may refer you to someone that may buy. I think referral marketing is one of the most easiest thing that so far for me, because I have done millions of dollars in it, millions of dollars. And it's simple because, what makes it even easier is that this is houses and landed property. So it's even easier. It's something that is real. Real estate is real. It's not like an abstract something, all right? But of course, in our next class, I've shown you, I'm going to teach you how to sell nothing. And it's going to be awesome. That's probably one of the best training, the sales training you will ever receive. I can promise you in your entire sales career, all right? And I have taught so many high successful sales experts that concept of how to sell nothing, and all of them are all wowed. They always said, wow, they wish they knew this earlier. And I think probably for me, that's one of the age that I have. All right. I learned it through, so just like I said, people that have used it, that have experimented and have made money from it, and have also learned it, I've used it, I've made money on it. Now it's your turn to learn it, to use it, and to make money. All right. So I'm going to set the criteria for our next class. And of course, not everybody will be in the next class. A certain activity must be able to happen to qualify to be in the next class. I'm not asking you for money. I don't need your money. All right. But I just need your commitment. And I need you to make this resolution and commitment in your heart that you are interested in this journey, and that in the next 90 days, you want to change the course of your life. All right. So my team are going to put on the group all the things that are required to be there, but I will wish that everybody on this group, honestly, I will want to meet you in Zanzibar and in Ethiopia. All right, Ethiopia have so many ancient stuffs that I feel like you may want to visit. And then probably for some of you that want to go to Egypt also, I'm looking at how we can arrange something also in that regard. All right, we're going to have a lot of fun this year. It's not just that we will make money, but we'll have a lot of fun. And that's just the most important thing. All right. So thank you for being on the call. And I hope that you guys have received some values for tonight. So you can, for some of you that were not part of the last class, the link has been, I think they've posted the link on the group. You can go and rewatch, and then you can now build up with what we shared today. The essence of just today is to allow us to be able to complete those laws and to lay the foundation today. But our next class is going to be fire. All right. You've seen my training and my training outline already. It's going to be fire. I promise you it's going to be fire. All right. Whether you have your own business, whatever it is that you're doing, you should come and learn that act. Because imagine you can wave a magic wand and you can manifest anything that you want. That's a gift. And that's the opportunity that you have at hand. All right. So I don't want to take much of our time. I want to tell you thank you and I love you. So we will see in the group. I'm not officially though part of the group, but I will ask them probably to add me, all right, so that I will be able to see some of the activities. But guess what? They're going to put some of our flyers on the group. Make sure you share it, set your own personal goal. Now, let me tell you something. If you don't have a target, you will hit it all the time because whatever you hit becomes the target. All right? Becomes the target. So I'm opening these opportunities also for some of you that are also going to make an exceptional effort. Exceptional effort to get some certain result. You automatically qualify to be in my mentorship class. Remember, I stopped my mentorship class a very long time ago. Most of you know, and I channel my efforts to training intelligent organizations so that I feel like it's much easier for me. But I am willing to train at least 12 people, only 12. Now, I don't want to do more than Jesus. Jesus only took 12 and he trained them. So I'm going to take only 12 people and we will do this. We will go on this journey together. All right. You will have my time for the next 12 months. Yes. And I'm going to
Sam? Sam, are you on the call?
I think his network went off or something.
Yes.
So please, maybe we'll give Doctor some few seconds to connect back. The class is still on. The class is still on. So we'll give him just a few seconds to get back on the call, please. So yes, I'm seeing Ishaya Precious ask the question. Doctor will be back to clarify more on that. But what I can tell you is it's not only for realtors. If you remember what you just said, I'm looking for people that are willing to change their own story, willing to change their own life. Most of what we learn here, even though currently we're talking about real estate, but these are pieces of knowledge that equip you for life in general. So it's not just about real estate per se. And that is why I like what he said that it's not just about the money itself, but who you become in that process of achieving that money. Because you get the cars, you get the money, but who you become is more important because you are able to reproduce any results. So I hope that attends to that. As Doctor is trying to come back on the call as well, I think it's good if we were able to drop some of the key lessons we got, what actually stood out for us in the class. That was some sort of feedback for him as well. So that to know that this class was an amazing session. I think I learned so much. I've written so much that I was finding it hard to even come and talk back. Maybe let's just try and say, okay, what was the major thing that stood out for us right on the chat box? Yes, and concerning the playback of this class, I think I'm going to put an information on the group, and that will be first because as time goes on, there will be requirements for how everybody will join the subsequent classes. So at least for the first class, like Dr. Rightly said, the recording has been shared. It's a very, very rich class. Um, I can see that several people are already trying to make sure they consume that part. So for this one, I know that there will be some sort of requirements that will be put in place to be able to access the class. But nevertheless, please, still waiting on the chat box. Let's just type out what really stood out for us. One key takeaway from today's class which will be the feedback we'll be giving doctor to know that yes, his time was well spent because I'm so excited about this 3 month journey. I know that my life will not remain the same. And there's something I've learned from my mentor. He said, uh, wisdom is knowing that when you see somebody that has achieved more than you are willing to learn. You are willing to humble yourself and learn. So being able to pick out one thing that stood out for you and say you have picked out this thing shows that we're improving in our wisdom, we're becoming wiser even as we hear all of this. So yeah, the doctor is back. Let me see. Doctor is back. Um, please let's go ahead and drop what stood out for us. What is our key takeaway from the class? Even as doctor goes ahead, just be attentive.
All right, Sam, thank you. Thank you. Nigeria seems to happen to me, so but yeah, so but it's cool. Yeah, it's one of those things. So, just like I said, brothers and sisters and friends, I can't wait to celebrate you and do this for yourself, not necessarily for me, but I feel like your future self deserve the life, and the life that you want will demand the life that you have. I'll never forget what Jesus said. He said, "Until a seed of corn falls down and die, it abide alone." So, certain decisions you have to make so that you can die to every form of you that have been, so that you can better the person that you are meant to become. Unless you do that, nothing change. Unless you make that resolution to make things happen, all right? Go out there, give yourself a target, a goal, and probably also our next class, I'm going to teach you the act of goal settings, not the goals, not the popular goal settings that you're already used to, that people, teach you about, what do they call it? Smart goals and all those things. No, 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 no. Those things in themselves, they are good, but they are not transformative. I can tell you for a fact, I've gone to many goal setting programs also that I see people learn those things and they don't end up using it. So I'm going to teach you the real core thing, the hidden, the forbidden knowledge, those hidden knowledge of it that is only accessible to very few people. And I promise you that it's going to be very lovely. So if you're with me, just make sure that you are ready to learn and you're ready to transform your life. But I need to know that you are very serious. All right? I need to know that you are very serious about your life so that my investment will not be in vain. My investment in your life will not be in vain. Right? So I want to say a very big thank you for trusting me and for giving me your time and your attention. And I can't wait to see you at the next class. All right. So the next class will be communicated, and I will, yes, and make sure that you do all it takes to be in the next class. All right. Make sure you do all it takes. And someone is asking me, what will I need to do? All I just need you to do is to make sure that, by the way, I will recommend some books on sales book on the group chat. Make sure that you go this night and then you get some of them. I might even, my team might even drop some PDF for you already there so that I want you to go through some of them. Let's start our learning journey and our earning journey together, okay? I want you to know that I love you and I can't wait to celebrate you. But more importantly, I can't wait to see you in Zanzibar and in Ethiopia and probably in Egypt, all right? So, with that said in mind, I want to say good night, thank you, and see you in the next class.
Thank you, sir.
What's in our